This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. For those of you who have not heard, there's very weird weather going on over in the UK. And yes, that's become the new normal, weird weather. And no, it's not, of course, the reason that the government tells us there's all of this weird weather phenomena is happening because of carbon emissions. There's weird weather going on because we're enduring chemical baths. We're enduring man-made weather phenomenons. And what's happening in the UK is they have been in a major fog for days now. And while some people would say, well, what's the big deal? It's just fog. Fog is normal. There's a lot of things not normal about this fog because this isn't normal fog. This is man-made fog. And of course, at first they were telling everybody that this was just a regular fog thing, that the ground became saturated with water vapor. But then all of the residents in the UK were starting to say, well, wait a minute. There's no moisture in it at all. This doesn't feel like fog. In fact, it doesn't smell like fog because people were reporting smelling all sorts of chemicals. And of course, since then, since people were posting on social media pictures, video of this fog just lingering from days and days and days on end. People were reporting the odors that they were finding. All of a sudden, of course, the media changes their story, as they always do. And they call it anti-cyclonic gloom. Weird UK weather blamed on anti-cyclonic gloom. No date yet on when the sun will come out again. And for anybody wondering, because I'm sure it's the first time you're ever hearing of anti-cyclonic gloom, it is a weather phenomenon that occurs when high pressure traps moisture near the ground, resulting in a period of cloudy, dull weather with fog and mist. It can happen in autumn and winter when winds are light and the sun isn't strong enough to lift the moisture. Now, what all of us really know is occurring here is that the citizens in the UK are being given an extreme chemical bath. And we know for a fact that obviously the government has patented all of these types of weather technologies, including a fog machine, which is government patent US 1338343A, which, yes, is a US government patent. But of course, these are global patents that all of the governments are using on their own civilians. But this appears to be a man-made smog, which is not really a fog that is being used. It's not wet, it smells like chemical, and it never clears. You could pretty much say that it's some form of artificially created chemicals that they're calling a cloud that is sitting among the civilians. So none of us should be surprised if suddenly we hear of an outbreak of something over there in the next couple of weeks. Maybe, in fact, the bird flu, which I'll go into more detail on my other channel, Hurting Humanity, which if you're not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe now. It's Hurting Humanity is the name of the channel, where I also have Jimmy Carter's obituary up over there for anybody who wants to hear the real truth about Jimmy Carter, not the alt-right media just calling him an incompetent fool or the liberal media calling him one of the best presidents of all time. The real truth of the matter is that Jimmy Carter was another global established puppet that was put into place to bring about the Trilateral Commission and putting those people in the Trilateral Commission into political office. So, back to the weather. Weird weather across the UK has been blamed on anti-cyclonic gloom and may bring a rare spot of sun hopefully soon to the UK. Fog, low clouds, and spots of drizzle can be expected countrywide, and this anti-cyclonic gloom behind it could bring more stranger weather to other parts of the country. They have recorded just 12 minutes of sunshine total in the last 11 days. That's right, 12 minutes in the last 11 days. So when other parts of the country remain gray-skied and drizzly, the return of the sun hopefully will happen sometime soon. Areas across the country have been without any ray of sunlight for over a week, with weather stations across England and East Wales recording no bright spell at all for the first 8 days of November. The MET office, the Met office, said people living in the south of England were affected by this anti-cyclonic gloom most of all and had experienced just an hour of sunlight for the whole month. While the weather in parts of the country may be settled, more people are noticing a gloomy, overcast, high pressure for the weather often remains sunnier spells, but this is not the case with this gloom. The anti-cyclonic gloom is the result of high pressure systems arriving in autumn or winter, like I said earlier. And while it can result in some sunny days, it can also work to trap moisture close to the ground. This moisture forms low clouds, mist, and fog. And with the high pressure stopping winds from arriving, it cannot be cleared away. And of course, you don't hear them answering anything about what people are smelling, because immediately if people are starting to smell something, well, they're just going to pretend like they're just smelling it on their own. It's something in their head. They'll stand there and tell you right to your face, you're just making it up. You're smelling things that we're not. Maybe you have some other type of disease or you have some type of neurological problem, because they won't address the fact that people out there reporting odors in this chemical fog, which is likely some type of gas that is potentially in this fog. And just like I said earlier, they originally called it fog. People out there reported the fact that this was extremely, extremely bizarre because there was no water. There was literally no moisture in it. So if there's no moisture in it, it's really just like a ball of smoke that people are getting engulfed in, which I'm sure is really great for their long-term health and their lungs. And there's a reason, obviously, the government has all these patents for weather modification, whether it's Tesla's earthquake machine or geoengineering from the skies telling us that somehow cloud seeding is good for us. The fact that the government has thousands of patents that talk about weather modification in regards to making it rain and steering hurricanes, yet nobody out there is suspicious to some of these bizarre weather phenomena because they're getting programmed to think that this is all from carbon emissions. And now, as we always see, they start to pivot. They make stuff up. Remember how many times we heard the word mutate over the last couple of years, where the science wasn't making sense, where everything that we learned about viruses over the years all of a sudden changed conveniently. And they told us, well, you don't know what you're talking about because these are mutations and mutations of mutations cousins and mutations mothers. We're mutating day in and day out. It's mutating with this. It's mutating with that. It's mutating with the common cough. It's mutating with cold sores. And all of a sudden, everybody just nods and goes along with it. Like this new science is actually real. Well, this is the same thing, right? Hitting people with cloud fogs. Then people saying, this doesn't feel like fog because this is completely dry. And on top of that, it's lingering for almost a month. Almost a full month, they are sitting in dense fog, reporting that it smells like some type of chemical. And that's what the people in the UK are reporting. But of course, the government themselves will not report on that. They'll just pivot. They'll pivot away from fog, which is what they were trying to foo-foo it as for a couple of weeks. Then they'll just tell you that it's anti-cyclonic gloom. It's a weather phenomenon, right? What a convenience. This new weather phenomenon that they can continually use and get away with, right? When suddenly we see storms like some of the ones that hit here in America, some of those hurricanes that, went right towards those lithium areas and killed people and ruined their lives. How the storms suddenly aren't following the jet stream anymore. Well, it's a weather phenomenon, right? Or maybe tornadoes hitting San Francisco, California, and then telling us that it's weather phenomenon, because they make it up as they go. And the more suspicious you get, the more they pivot and pivot and pivot and try to give you a new scientific term. And they won't address the elephants in the room, which are the odors or just the fact that people aren't buying their narrative. So they give you another scientific narrative and they completely ignore what people out there are reporting on their own. So maybe instead of calling it a weather phenomenon, we should just call it what it really is, a government phenomenon. And all you could do is pray for the people affected by this, just like anybody else who is getting hit with all sorts of weird, bizarre weather that is clearly man-made. And now we're seeing for the first time them using smog bowls on people, which clearly you can only imagine the types of chemicals. I'm sure it's filled with, your basic nanotech. I'm sure your basic soft metals. I'm sure it's filled with aluminum and barium. But people are breathing this in and day out. And it's funny, too, that the government doesn't come out and tell people out there to put on masks, right? I mean, other times they tell you to put on a mask when you're supposed to be fighting off some type of respiratory disease. But then again, when you're wearing the mask, you're actually hurting your respiratory system. But in this case, you would think maybe the people should be walking around wearing gas masks, because it, just like most of these things, it's like right out of a movie. It's right out of Batman, 1989, right? Might as well be the Joker spraying chemicals on the crowd. Now, they're never going to report what ends up happening from this. They're never going to report if anybody goes to the hospital over the smog. They're never going to tell you that hospitals are overfilled with people. But time will only tell what type of long-term effect this will have on the people in the UK. But again, folks, it's not fog anymore. It's anticyclonic gloom. It's a weather phenomenon. Stop questioning what we're telling you. Stop looking into government patents and thinking you know what you're actually talking about. We patent the weather because it's fun. We patent fog machines so that we could sell them at Spencer Gifts, right? That's why we have a fog machine patent back from the 1920s, or some of these weather modification patents that go back to the 1800s. That's why we took Tesla's earthquake machine, and suddenly you see these earthquakes popping up at places they would never pop up in the first place, right? Absolutely incredible. Prayers for everybody out there who might be victimized by this and breathing in whatever it is that they're spraying. But then again, we're all getting sprayed on a day in, day out basis, and they continue to get away with it. I thank everybody for being here. Like I mentioned earlier, make sure you're subbed to my Hurting Humanity channel. I'll leave it linked below. My Jimmy Carter obituaries over there. I'll be covering things in regards to the bird flu moving forward over the next couple of weeks. That's the main channel I'll be uploading on, so definitely check it out if you haven't yet. Thanks again, everybody. God bless all of you, as always, and your families.